So my question to you, it's a genuine question, is happiness avoiding unpleasant feelings, and is it about experiencing pleasant ones? So is that kind of the basis of a genuinely happy life? Is that the basis of a really happy life? So we're going to be exploring that. So firstly, really warm welcome to the Monday night stream. My name's Maitrinara, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm an order member with the True Vedanā Buddhist community, and I'm a teacher at the Brixton Buddhist community. And we've been putting these live streams on for at least 8 weeks now, and so if you like what we're doing, if you like the channel, just subscribe and put the alerts on, and then you'll get to see everything that's coming up. So so I'm sitting here talking to the camera in our shrine room, and it's really good for me to know who's around. So do let me know who's around. I can see on the screen if you're writing in. So let me know. And also there'll be a chance for questions and comments later on. So after the meditation that we'll be doing together later on, there'll be a chance for questions and comments. So I'll cue that up a bit later on, but I'm hoping that we can get into a bit of a dialogue with that. Okay, so for now, let's make sure we're just really present to what's going on. And I'll lead you in a very short body scan, just a way of us all kind of arriving and really getting present to discussing meditation and practicing meditation together. Okay, so don't need to do anything special. You can just sit wherever you are. If you're sitting on a chair, sitting on a sofa. If you do want to sit down on cushions, that's fine as well. So just get yourself comfortable, get yourself in quite kind of settled, upright posture. And we're just going to do a short body scan together. So if you're happy to, just closing the eyes. And the first thing, just to notice the kind of space, that you can feel the space around you a little bit more with your eyes closed. You're just kind of trying to get a sense of a bit of a more broader sense of the sound around you, space around you. Just wherever you are in your living room or in your bedroom, outside in the garden, just get a sense, feeling your way into the environment that's around you. And then also noticing these sensations that make up our body. So just noticing the body as it is now. Just noticing whatever energy is there. Maybe if it's been a busy day, you might feel a little tight in the body. If you've been out in the sunshine today, you might be feeling more eased and open in the body. And getting a sense of the weight of the body. The weight of your body, just allowing it to settle like grains of rice in a bag, just settling at their own level. And feeling your contact with the ground. So that's something you can really feel, something you can trust, is that sensation where your body meets the ground. And just seeing if you can allow your lower body to sink into that contact a little bit more. Just noticing if you're holding on to any tension in your lower body, and just seeing if you can allow that to rest and sink down into the floor a little bit more. And then noticing your tummy, that area of your tummy. Often we're holding on quite a bit in the tummy. So just feeling the sensations in the tummy. See if you can just start to let go and soften in the tummy a little bit. And feeling how your body, sensations of your body, the energy of your body rising up. Feel your upper back, shoulders, and neck, and just seeing if you can start to let go in those areas. Noticing sensations around the head, around the forehead, around the eyes, just seeing if you can allow your eyes to go into slightly softer focus. Allowing your face to rest. And bringing your attention to the breathing body. Body breathing. And if you can allow that to just kind of suffuse through your whole body. Allow the breath to fill the whole body. And then just letting go any effort at all you're making. Just sitting for the last couple of moments. Becoming aware of where you're sitting. And then, when you're ready, just open your eyes and coming out of the short body scan we've been doing. Alright, so it's great. I've got a few shout outs here to make. So, hello Vegetara, hello Joe, and Jolene. Nice to see you from Wiltshire. And Ian's here. Good to see you. Hi, Maitri. Great to see you there, Rob. Nice to see you. And Joe, good to see you. And hello from Canada, from Lola in Canada. So glad you joined us. Tony's in New Zealand. I've got a real international feel tonight. That's great. And in Peckham. So Amy in Peckham, good to see you. And Savannah Tara, good to see you. Okay, so yeah, so let's explore this theme of the body feelings. Is it running the show? Are our feelings running the show? If you tuned in last week, you'd already seen that we started off exploring the Buddha's 4 spheres of mindfulness, what the Buddha said comprised the whole of the human experience. And we started off with the body. So we started off with the body and the sensations, particularly sensations of the body in meditation. And like everything else, the sensations of the body, as we contact sensations of the body, has a certain kind of feeling tone. Yeah, has a certain kind of texture, a certain feeling tone. That can be on a spectrum between pleasant and unpleasant, and in the middle, it's neither strongly pleasant or unpleasant. Call that a neutral. So there's this kind of range of this feeling tone that's present in sensation. In fact, we're going to find that it's present in everything that we can experience. Yeah? And in Buddhism, it's quite an important concept in a way. So it's got a name in the Pali language, vedanā. So vedanā connotes a feeling tone. So I'll say a little bit more about that. So feeling tone is not the same as emotion. It's kind of pre-emotion, but it's almost pre-kind of language in a way. It's this texture of how life feels. So everything that we experience has this kind of feeling, yes? So thoughts, sounds, smell, what we touch, and so on, all has this feeling tone. So it's kind of like life. Everything we experience in life has this feeling tone. So that's just happening. Life's happening all the time. So this vedanā is happening all the time. And it's also happening in relation to what's happening in our minds. Yeah? So memories, planning, thoughts, from a Buddhist point of view, is thought of almost like a sixth sense. I've talked about other senses, but it's also thought of as a sixth sense, all the activity in our minds. It's not kind of meant in a kind of paranormal way. It's more like, in a way, kind of the analogy of, if we use the analogy of sight, so as long as we've got our eyes open, there's stimulus coming in, isn't there? Even actually with the eyes closed, there's still kind of that diffuse light coming in. So there's this stimulus coming through the eye organ, yeah? And we're either more or less aware of that, aren't we? More or less aware of what's happening in our visual field, yeah? And in the same way, mind's producing stimulus all the time as well, isn't it? It's kind of got it's caught up in the past, the conversations that happen, maybe what's happening now, maybe in something exciting that's happening now, something that's really caught your attention, or maybe planning for the future. But it's always kind of caught up in something. There's always some sort of stimulus going on in the mind, yeah? And all of that has vedanā. All of that has a feeling tone. So what we'll be doing later on is we'll be doing meditation where we'll be really feeling sensations of the body in the way we did last week. But then we'll be noticing that feeling tone. That's a very good way to notice it is through the body. So to start with, let's talk about these different types of vedanā, yeah? These different, this spectrum of vedanā, so we can start to have a look out for we'll start to have a think about what we're going to look out for in the meditations. We're going to start with unpleasant vedanā. And with unpleasant vedanā, you really don't, we don't like it. We don't want it. We want to get rid of that. We want to push that away, or we want to ignore that, yeah? And it can quite easily, if we're doing any of those things with unpleasant vedanā, it can quite easily turn into emotional response. So it can turn into anger, turn into blame, turn into a kind of a bad mood. Yeah? So basically what's happening there is that you're acting with aversion, you're kind of a pushing away, and that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good. Whenever we kind of push something away out of our experience, it doesn't feel good, and then that creates more aversion. Yeah? So you know how sometimes a bad mood kind of develops, isn't it? And it's partly to do with that kind of pushing away as a kind of a cumulative effect. And often we create a story, don't we? The stories we create about what's going on are quite amazing sometimes. So often we're trying to create a story to explain why we have this uncomfortable feeling, rather than just experiencing it. So with meditation, in Buddhism, we're really trying to encourage ourselves to feel what's going on before we fall into these habitual tendencies or habitual reactions to unpleasant vedanā. And meditation, of course, is a really good place to start to learn how to do that. I mean, one thing I avoided for a long time in my own meditation was a kind of a tightness in the tummy. It really felt like I really don't want to go there. It kind of almost would just bounce off of it. It felt too almost a bit too kind of overwhelming or something. And then I would kind of come up with ideas about what did that mean? What did that mean about me, and my life and so on. Slowly over the course of years of meditation, kind of learned to kind of be more notice that tension. It's not that it's gone, but I can just notice it and kind of be with that tension and without it kind of dominating somehow. Yeah. And usually it's usually me just kind of bracing against something. I'm not quite wanting something, or just caught up in some sort of tension. Yeah. So it's just kind of I started to find a bit of an ease with being with discomfort in that way. So much as we'd like to, we can't not have unpleasant vedanā. That's just part of life. That's just what we're kind of given, a fact of life. Yeah? So the other day I was in the shopping trip with Adam, and I realised that we didn't have £1 for the trolley. We didn't have £1 for the shopping trolley. That felt unpleasant. Suddenly, that felt unpleasant. We weren't going to be able to get a trolley because we didn't have £1 for the trolley. So there we go. That was it. Straight away, started to feel a discomfort as a response of that. Just before coming on one of these live streams, I start to feel a little discomfort, kind of akin to this kind of those kind of presentations you might do. Same when you're presenting the Dharma meditation, there's still a little discomfort. And that's just given. There's nothing we can do about that. That's just given. Parking ticket, waking up with a headache. This is life. It's going to throw up situations. So vedanā is given to us. Yeah. So we can't change vedanā, but what we can do is we can change how we respond to that. Yeah. So we can experience it, we can investigate it, we can feel it. And by doing that, we create what's traditionally thought of as a gap between feeling and reaction. Yeah? So this is all based on the Buddha's analogy of the second dart. I'm sure some of you would have heard about the second dart. The first dart is this vedanā that we're given, yeah, as life throws up. And then the second dart is kind of our response to it, how we respond to that, and how often we make that worse. So it's quite interesting. Emotional pain can feel just as threatening as physical pain, and because we have this fight or flight mechanism in us, really hardwired into us through kind of millions of years of evolution. We can feel something unpleasant, and then we're going to tense up as a result. There's that kind of neural system kind of kicking in to action. I've written here an email from the ex. I don't know if other people have experienced an email from the ex in an acrimonious breakup, and then even just seeing that there's going to be that email in your inbox, you kind of there's a tightening, isn't there? Yeah. So there's that fight or flight mechanism, and then what can happen is you read that, and there's that discomfort, and I'm sure people have much more pleasant relationships with their exes, but in this case I'm talking about, there's discomfort. And you decide, I'm going to write a really truthful response, really truthful, get kind of really truthful response. And of course, that probably won't have a good result. So I'm fond of talking about my draft box. What I do is I write those, and then I just put them in the draft box. And so I've got this really toxic draft box, but it doesn't get sent out, doesn't cause problems for me or other people. So there's this fight or flight mechanism, and that's a kind of given. So we need to be aware of that. So question is then, isn't it normal to want to avoid pain? Pain is or unpleasant things are unpleasant? Why wouldn't we want to avoid them? Well, it is normal to avoid unpleasant feelings in a way. Yes, so we don't want them. But that's because, as I've been saying, it's this part of life. If we react with aversion, we're just going to make things more difficult for ourselves and other people. Yeah, we're going to kind of tense up. So what's the alternative? So as I said, we can acknowledge, we can experience, we can kind of become familiar with what's going on. Yeah, kind of get familiar. There's that again. Yeah, we start to get a little bit familiar. And one of the things about why we might decide that we don't quite want to do that, we don't quite want to get familiar with unpleasant things, is this kind of strange irrational feeling that it's, if we do dwell in them, then they're just going to last. Yeah. There is this irrational fear that we're going to just get stuck in our kind of present experience, and you can check that out for yourselves. But it's just not true, is it? Things are always changing, and we can just get familiar with pleasant and unpleasant states without getting stuck in them. So so basic strategy for life, mostly and understandably, is that we're going to avoid unpleasant situation or unpleasant feelings, and so we can make way for pleasant feelings. So let's talk about that kind of end of the spectrum. So with pleasant feelings, well, they're really kind of reassuring, aren't they? Because it kind of gives you a kind of sense, so life's going really well, like life's going my way here, things are going well, so it's reassuring. Also, it's just pleasant. There's this enjoyable, pleasant response to that, yeah. And I enjoy talking with my friend Matt about how we scatter gold glitter on our diaries. Yeah, we had this running joke about the gold glitter we scatter on our diaries, which basically means that we scatter it on these future events. And we feel like, that's when I'm really going to get like a whole load of pleasure. Yeah? So, for example, even the treats fall into that. That's my golden glitter. Okay, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed feeling. Sometimes it's feeling pleasant, sometimes unpleasant. I mean, as an overriding kind of trend, I find them extremely meaningful. But it's not unremitting pleasure. So we try and pack it into weekends, pack it into weekday evenings. But the question with pleasure is, how much do we feel it? How much do we really feel it? We're kind of rushing around from one thing to the next. How kind of present are we to the pleasure that we've kind of promised ourselves out of that situation? And I've got a little analogy. I mean, I do this as well. I get to park, kind of going to the park, and so have a pleasurable walk in the park, and it's not quite kind of working or something, and then I get the phone out. Okay, I'll get the phone out and do the old phone flip and start kind of texting, So then I'm not present to the pleasure that might have been there, just the pleasure of nature that might have needed a little bit of tending to. I've just kind of lost that by tending to this little screen. So I've kind of foregone the pleasure that might be present in this situation for some kind of future kind of reward in a way. And that's not surprising in a way, because so much of our lives is kind of future orientated, isn't it? We seem to be always sacrificing pleasure in the now for this kind of future happiness. Really quite strange, isn't it? I think of it as a kind of almost a forward leaning, like a kind of leaning into our lives, a kind of forward momentum through our lives. Yeah? Which means that we aren't often present to the pleasure that's there. So the other thing we might do is we might grab onto pleasure. We might try and kind of wrestle and try to think, how can we recreate? How can we get more of it? So those are a couple of ways that we kind of crowd pleasure out of our experience, often with thoughts about it. Yeah? So experiencing pleasure more fully, well, really it comes about through living a more less kind of rushed existence in a way. We can experience a more meaningful mind when we're not in so much of a rush, yeah, and that's something we develop in meditation, yeah, kind of more spacious mind, yeah. So say now briefly a couple of things about neutral vedanā. It's quite interesting. As soon as I say it, it sounds kind of boring, isn't it? Don't really kind of want to. Not really interested in neutral vedanā, and that's the whole point. It's neither really pleasant or really unpleasant. It's kind of indeterminate in a way, and that's a bit of a problem for us, because often we kind of know we're alive because we're strong sensations present. So it's kind of it can feel very close to boredom. And the analogy I would use is what it's like to be in maybe a modern art show. You might walk around a modern art show or any kind of art exhibition, and you see this, don't you? You see kind of people coming up to paintings, and you're kind of there, and you're not getting a strong feeling. And so, you know, after 30 seconds, you're like, okay, maybe if I read the text, that will kind of, you know, stimulate something. So you read the text, it doesn't quite work, does it? You read it, and then you have another glance, and then kind of walk on. The only way to let the painting kind of speak to you is to be with the that indeterminate feeling. Yeah, it may be that the paint does kind of like whoa, straight away, but if it doesn't, then the only way to let it emerge is to be with that indeterminate kind of feeling. Yeah, it has a quality of texture of its own. And if you can stay with it, it can open up, and in the same way, kind of a picture can kind of reveal itself to you, what the artist was trying to do. Yeah. So, in summary, vedanā is in kind of everything. Yeah, it's there. It's all the time. It's this texture of life, and we can easily miss it by either kind of attaching too personally to the feelings that we're experiencing, or skating over it. Yeah, not paying attention. And the point is, why we're exploring this is that we're looking for this point of freedom. Yeah? We're looking for this point of freedom where the feelings aren't running the show. Yeah? They're not running the show. We're not habitually reacting and responding to our feeling tone that's present. Yeah? It's quite interesting. How we respond is often how we think we are. So I like this, I don't like this. Kind of this winds me up, that balls me. You can kind of like limit yourself in that way. And in meditation, we're trying to open up to a much broader bandwidth of who we are. Yeah, and by developing our interest, our kind of deepening into sensation and vedanā, we can kind of expand our bandwidth. And move beyond these limits of how we think of ourselves. Yeah? So let's do some meditation. I'll lead us through a meditation. So what we're looking for is being with the meditation, staying with it. Yeah, if you drift off, just coming back, trying to stay with it, deepen into it, and we're looking for what a signpost you might feel is that you start to deepen into kind of an inner softening, kind of inner kind of a radiance, inner radiance in our experience, and that will be an indication that you're kind of touching into something a little deeper in your mind. Yeah? So let's set ourselves up, and we can have a look into that for ourselves. Yeah, so let's just find our posture again. If that's in the chair or in the sofa that you're on, that's fine. Or if you want to sit yourself, or you're already seated on cushions on the floor, that's good as well. And if you're happy to, just closing your eyes. There's just been a whole tumble and jumble of words there, hasn't there? So let's just broaden out our attention, taking the sounds all around. So a kind of soundscape, sounds emerging, submerging. Now it feels like it's happening within this vast space. Vast space around us, if we can broaden out into it. And then contained within that space is how we experience our body. You can't feel all of your body, just feeling sensations more intense, some less. Feel that contact with the ground. It has a very particular quality to it. And again, just see if you can allow your lower body to soften and to relax down into the ground. And again, just letting your tummy soften. And feeling your way into the upper body, this massive sensations. And the air of the shoulders, the head. And the face and eyes. Also the air of the chest. Staying with the sensations of the body, I'm just going to get you to imagine, if you will, that you're seated in a garden. It's at dusk, perfectly warm. And in this garden that's abundantly planted, there's just the soft, sweet smell of jasmine and other flowers and other plants. I'm sitting there contained in this Just feeling our sensations of our body contained in this space, just feeling whether you're holding into areas that are a bit more dense, areas of sensation that are a bit more dense. Maybe there's areas that are a bit lighter. Just noticing the feeling tone of these sensations. We don't need to label them too much. We can just notice whether we're attracted by the sensation, whether we enjoy the sensation, or whether we find that unpleasant. You can tell by the way we might want to shrink away from that sensation. Feeling your way into these areas of your body that are more dense. Feels like the sensation is more massed. These other more lighter areas of the body. And you can feel your way into the sensations by noticing whether they feel tight, constricted. They do, what that feels like. Or whether they feel open and more expansive. What that feels like. Without judging or needing to make any stories up about how we're experiencing these different sensations in the body. You start to feel the fringes of the body. Where is the fringes of the body? Where is the edge of these sensations? Where they meet that warm, fragrant space of the garden. Moving away into where are the edges, the sensations of the body. And what does that feel like? I can even now for a moment feel away into what's beyond. Even just broadening out into this soft warm light air, just ensuring what's beyond the sensations of the body. And now we're just going to come into contact with the breath. You don't need to do anything special with the breath, just even naturally feeling the changing, shifting sensations of the breath. And then they start in this dusky garden, this warm summer evening. You can just imagine the breath as a gas lamp, just as a soft glow, which is just illuminating the sensations of the body, illuminating what's around. Staying with the movement of the breath. Imagine this soft light of the breath is just illuminating the sensations all around. Noticing where it's illuminating, where it feels tighter or more constricted, where it feels lighter, open. Feeling now like the breath is illuminating the whole body. And just allowing yourself to relax and soften. Whatever feeling tone is there, That's fine. Breathing with that. And you see if you can broaden out a little bit, find those fringes of the body. Let the breath illuminate the full extent of the sensations. There's pleasure there, it's fine. There's areas of unpleasant sensation, that's fine. Just letting that be there. And then just broadening out, take in as much of your experience as you can, the vast space all around you. And then just trying to settle, trying to let go of any effort you're making. Feeling yourself grounded where you are in your lounge and bedroom. Right, so I hope you got into that meditation. I just like to explore some of those sensations in terms of the vagueness and sort of a feeling tone. I'm interested to hear how you got on. Any comments, any questions at all? I'll be really happy to hear. I'm trying my best to answer anything you come up with. So yeah, just tap away into the chat box and we'll get to those in a minute. So, but while you're thinking about that, while you're just trying to, maybe while you typing some of those in, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. So, I'm sure a lot of you came in touch with the meditation and the Dharma through walking through the Buddhist doors, and kind of contacting the community there, contacting people there, contacting the methods that we have for working on our minds and the atmosphere that's generated there. And you'll also remember that you're encouraged or invited to put money in the Dana bowl at the end of that. And that's part of the culture, part of what we're creating, co-creating here in the Brixton community, is this sense of a community, something we're doing together, something we're creating together. And of course, those opportunities aren't there for people now to walk into Buddhist Centre and to experience all that. So we're trying to recreate that online as best we can. We're trying to reach people online, and so that they can experience the tools, the methods of working on hearts and minds. And if they want to, kind of step into a community with the Zoom calls and so on, where they have a chance to get a bit more personal contact with other like-minded people. So we're trying to create all that online, but we also need to keep that culture of dana, keep that culture of generosity flowing as well, so that we can do that. So if you move to give, we've worked out we need £2,000 a month to keep everything rolling and actually kind of keep expanding what we're doing. So there's links in the description, and should also be links, might be links in the chat as well. There's definitely links in the description. If you move to give anything, you could either set up a standing order, or you could just give a donation, whatever you move to do. That would be much appreciated. So yeah, let's get into questions. There will be a chance to go more deeply into any questions or comments in a Zoom call later on. I'll say a little bit about that, but that's in a way recreating a Buddhist Centre online, where you can step in and actually discuss how meditation's going more interactively. But let's see if there's any questions at all.
No questions at the moment.
No questions at the moment. Oh, so what I'm going to be encouraging people to do is well, first I ask some questions, but the other thing you can do is think about coming into the Zoom room after the Monday nights. There's a real culture in meditation of talking about your experience. Yeah? Something about talking about really kind of objectifies it, starts to get you more in a closer contact with what you're doing, and it's the best way to do that is in relation to other people that are also meditating, so you can kind of share experience, check things out, and so on. So it's a really friendly environment. Brixton Buddhist Centre and True Baptist Centres generally are typified by this kind of friendliness. People often say that they feel like they've come home, or they feel like they've will certainly appreciate that kind of atmosphere. So yeah, what I'm encouraging people to do is really have a think about maybe joining the Zoom call after, and you don't need to say anything if you don't want to. You can just come along to check it out, and but it will be an opportunity for you to check out what's going on in your meditation. So one reason why that's important to do is it's quite easy to start misinterpreting our meditations and start kind of feeling like oh, this means this, or this means that, or this is happening to me, so that must mean that. And what that can do is it can start to actually take us away from the direct experience of the meditation, which is what really meditation is about. Kind of is touching into our experience more and more directly. So if we're developing lots of ideas about what's happening, it can kind of create a distraction or a filter from us for actually experiencing meditation, experiencing the more deeper aspects of the mind. So again, it's really a good reason for checking things out. And if you want to, there's going to be opportunity at 8:45. I think it's going to start opportunity to step into a Zoom call, and the links are they're in the description in the chat box. So I just ask Adam again, see if we've got anything to come up.
Yeah, no questions, but there's a comment from John. He says, I have been struggling with real eye discomfort due to today's work. The meditation helped push away the feelings I was having towards that sense of fatigue.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, I think it's really it's really common now, isn't it? There's this even this phrase that seems to have entered into our language. You've zoomed out. I heard it already twice today. I'm zoomed out. So if we weren't already pre-COVID caught in lots of screen-based technology, God, we really are now. And so it's kind of slightly paradoxical, isn't it, that we're doing this through the medium of online, but this is the only way we have of reaching out. So what to do about the fact that a lot of our lives are lived online at the moment, on the screen at the moment, and like I say, that has always, increasingly been the case, but even more so, in this last period. Well, of course, there's lots of tips you can have, isn't there, about how you can just take breaks from work and relax your field of vision. So there's one thing about screen. To me, what happens is that you become quite narrow. Your focus becomes narrow, but you also your mind becomes a little narrow as well. It kind of becomes a bit. Even a bit dry and a bit kind of narrow. So how do we kind of open out, kind of hydrate our minds, hydrate our kind of field of vision? Well, one thing is just regularly stepping away and it's kind of maybe just being in the garden or taking a walk where you get a chance to kind of relax your field of vision. So yeah, there is this tightening around the eyes, isn't there? Tightening around the eyes, and there's also kind of a tightening around the forehead as well. So if you don't step away from the computer, you can just close your eyes. And one thing you can do is get a sense that your eyeball, it sounds a little bit gruesome, but it makes sense in practice. Just kind of let your eyeballs almost sink back into the sockets. It almost feels like they're pressed forward. And you can just allow them to sink back into their sockets and allow the forehead to smooth and soften. And as a result of that, you kind of your kind of visual or your kind of muscles around your eye are seen to release, but also you just seem to kind of open your mind. And your field of vision kind of seems to soften and open a little bit more. So yeah, you could try that, John. See how you get on. Okay. So thanks again for joining me on the live stream. We'll be moving through these 4 spheres of mindfulness over the next another 4 weeks, where we're going to be continuing to explore the Buddha's 4 spheres of mindfulness. So do join me for that on Monday. On Wednesday, I'll be giving a talk on what the Buddha said about arguments. So you can, if you're subscribing, to the channel, you'll get alerts about that, what the Buddha said about arguments, and that might be quite relevant for some of us living in more intense situations than we maybe are used to. Yeah? So you can join me for that if you want, but that'd be great. Okay, but for tonight, I'm going to wish you well, and hope you have a very pleasant evening.